Ladies and gentlemen, a generous heart is a wealthy heart because generosity unlocks abundance. When you give, you initiate a cycle of increase. Think about nature. When a farmer plants a seed, does he lose it? No. That seed transforms, multiplies, and returns a harvest far greater than what was sown. In the same way, when you give, whether it is your time, your wisdom, your resources, you set in motion a divine principle that ensures your returns are greater than your sacrifices. Some of the wealthiest people in the world are not those who hoarded riches, but those who gave relentlessly. Consider history. The names we honor, the legacies that inspire us, belong to those who poured out their lives for others. Why? Because generosity makes you unforgettable. It writes your name in the hearts of people, in the annals of history, and in the favor of the divine. Wealth, my friends, is not about how much you have, but about how much you impact. If you have knowledge, share it. If you have influence, use it for good. If you have resources, distribute them wisely. Because the wealth that truly matters is the kind that elevates others, transforms communities, and creates lasting change. I challenge you today. Live open-handed. Give without fear. Be a source of blessing to others, and you will never lack. For the one who gives never runs dry, and the one who serves will always be served. A generous heart is indeed a wealthy heart. And if you embrace this truth, your life will overflow with abundance beyond measure. In today's world, wealth is often measured by bank balances, luxurious homes, expensive cars, and high social status. Society has conditioned us to believe that the more we accumulate, the more valuable we become. However, this mindset has led many to live in a cycle of greed, dissatisfaction, and emptiness. True wealth is not in how much one possesses, but in how much one gives. Generosity is the true measure of wealth because it reflects abundance, fulfillment, and purpose rather than mere financial gain. Some of the most influential figures were not those who hoarded wealth, but those who gave selflessly. Consider leaders, philanthropists, and visionaries whose legacies are remembered. They were not merely rich in material possessions, but in the impact they left on the world. Their generosity made them truly wealthy, as their resources, knowledge, and kindness transformed countless lives. The world does not remember those who kept everything for themselves. It remembers those who gave freely and changed the course of history. The principle of wealth is much like a flowing river. A river that keeps flowing remains fresh and full of life, nourishing the land and sustaining all that depends on it. However, a body of water that refuses to flow becomes stagnant, lifeless, and eventually dries up. In the same way, a person who hoards their resources may appear rich externally, but inside they experience spiritual, emotional, and relational poverty. In contrast, a person who gives continually experiences renewal, joy, and lasting abundance. Giving is the evidence of an abundant mindset, while hoarding is often the result of fear of losing, fear of scarcity, and fear of not having enough. This fear-drilled mentality creates a life of stress and insecurity. On the other hand, a person who understands the principle of giving walks in confidence, knowing that the more they release, the more they make room for greater blessings. Just as a farmer must sow seeds to expect a harvest, an individual must give in order to experience the true wealth that life has to offer. Some may argue that one must accumulate first before they can give. However, this is a misconception. The truth is, generosity is not about the size of the gift, but the condition of the heart. A person with little can be far wealthier than a person with millions if they give with sincerity and joy. Wealth is not a number in a bank account, it is a state of being. The richest person in the world can feel empty and purposeless if they do not share their resources for the betterment of others. Conversely, someone with minimal material possessions can feel fulfilled knowing they have made a difference in someone's life. Another essential aspect of generosity is that it multiplies. When a person gives, whether it be time, knowledge, or material resources, it creates a ripple effect. One act of kindness can inspire another, leading to a chain reaction of goodwill. The world operates on the principle of reciprocity. What you give, you will receive, often in unexpected ways. This is why people who practice generosity often find themselves surrounded by opportunities, meaningful relationships, and divine favor. True wealth goes beyond financial prosperity. It includes emotional well-being, strong relationships, and a sense of purpose. Many who have achieved material success but neglected generosity often find themselves feeling lonely, dissatisfied, and lacking true joy. In contrast, those who give experience a richness that cannot be measured in dollars. Their lives are filled with meaning, and they leave behind a legacy that continues to inspire even after they are gone. The world's greatest treasures are not stored in bank vaults, but in the hearts of those who have been touched by generosity. Money can be spent, lost, or stolen, but the impact of a generous heart never fades. It lives on in the lives of those who have been empowered, encouraged, and uplifted. True wealth is measured by giving because it transcends the temporary and enters the realm of the eternal. It is not what we keep that defines our worth, but what we give away that determines our legacy. Generosity is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It operates on a principle that transcends cultures, economies, and belief systems. The more you give, the more you receive. While many people strive to accumulate wealth by holding tightly to their resources, the truth is that abundance flows to those who are willing to release what they have. A generous heart is like a magnet for prosperity because it creates an environment of continuous blessing, favor, and increase. One of the fundamental principles of life is sowing and reaping. Just as a farmer does not expect a harvest without first planting seeds, a person cannot expect abundance without first being a giver. When you give, you initiate a process that guarantees a return. This return may not always come in the same form as the gift, but it always manifests in ways that enrich your life. Some people receive financial blessings, while others gain valuable relationships, new opportunities, or inner peace. Regardless of the form, the principle remains the same. Giving sets the stage for receiving. Generosity also changes the way we perceive wealth. Many people live with a scarcity mindset, believing that resources are limited and must be hoarded to ensure security. However, this mindset leads to fear, anxiety, and selfishness. In contrast, a generous heart operates from an abundance mindset, recognizing that the more you give, the more you create space for increase. The universe, or divine providence, responds to those who trust in the cycle of giving. Those who release their resources freely often find the doors open for them. Unexpected provisions arrive, and life presents them with new and better opportunities. Another significant aspect of generosity is the way it builds trust and strengthens relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who are kind, giving, and selfless. A generous heart cultivates deep and meaningful connections because generosity is a sign of love, respect, and genuine care for others. Whether in business, friendships, or family, Those who give without expecting anything in return often receive loyalty, support, and goodwill that money cannot buy. A person who is known for their generosity will always have people willing to help them in times of need, creating a network of abundance that sustains them throughout life. Beyond financial giving, generosity also includes the giving of time, knowledge, encouragement, and kindness. A person who shares their wisdom freely attracts more wisdom. A person who encourages others attracts encouragement. A leader who invests in the growth of others gains a team that is dedicated and motivated. In every area of life, giving multiplies the very thing being given. This is why some of the most successful people in the world are those who have mastered the art of giving. They understand that their success is directly tied to how much value they provide to others. Generosity has a profound effect on personal fulfillment and well-being. Studies have shown that acts of giving trigger the release of endorphins, reducing stress and increasing happiness. When a person gives, they experience a deep sense of purpose and satisfaction that material possessions alone can never provide. A generous person wakes up each day knowing they have made a difference in someone's life. And this feeling of significance fuels their motivation and joy. Wealthy people who give often report feeling richer, not because of the money they have, but because of the impact they have made. One of the most overlooked benefits of generosity is the way it attracts divine favor. Many spiritual traditions emphasize that those who give will be blessed in return, whether through divine intervention, unexpected opportunities, or the goodwill of others. Generous individuals often find themselves receiving blessings that they could not have orchestrated on their own. Life seems to conspire in their favor, opening doors that were once closed and creating pathways for greater success. At its core, generosity is an investment in the future. Every act of giving plants seeds that will eventually produce a harvest. This harvest does not only benefit the giver, but also creates a ripple effect that spreads throughout communities and generations. A generous heart is a wealthy heart, not because of what it holds, but because of what it releases. And as it continues to release, it continues to attract abundance in ways that exceed human understanding. Wealth, in its truest form, was never meant to be hoarded or used solely for personal gain. It was given to be shared, to uplift, and to empower those around us. When wealth is viewed as a tool for service rather than as a possession to be kept, it transforms into something far more valuable than mere material gain. True wealth finds its highest purpose when it is used to serve others, creating lasting impact, opportunities, and transformation in society. Many people spend their entire lives chasing financial success, believing that once they accumulate enough, they will find fulfillment. However, history and experience prove that wealth without purpose leads to emptiness. Some of the richest individuals in the world, despite having everything money can buy, often find themselves struggling with dissatisfaction, loneliness, and a lack of meaning. On the other hand, those who use their wealth to serve others experience a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment because they understand that wealth is not just about what they acquire, but about what they contribute. The greatest impact of wealth comes when it is used to solve problems and meet needs. Money, influence, and resources are powerful, but their true potential is only realized when they are directed toward a cause greater than oneself. When wealth is shared, it builds schools, feeds the hungry, provides health care, and creates opportunities for those who would otherwise struggle. Every person who has been blessed with wealth, whether financial, intellectual, or influential, has a responsibility to use it for the benefit of others. When wealth serves, it elevates not only individuals, but entire communities and nations. A person who understands the purpose of wealth does not fear losing it, because they know that wealth given in service is never truly lost. In fact, it multiplies. There is a universal principle that what you give returns to you in greater measure. Those who invest in the well-being of others often find that their own life becomes richer, not just materially, but in relationships, reputation, and personal fulfillment. This is why some of the most financially successful people continue to give, because they have discovered that generosity is the secret to sustained abundance. Wealth that is kept for selfish reasons often becomes a burden. Many people who hoard wealth live in constant fear of loss, fear of betrayal, and fear of not having enough. They become prisoners of their own riches, unable to experience the peace and freedom that come with generosity. In contrast, those who give freely experience a life of joy and purpose because they are not enslaved by their possessions. They understand that wealth is not about ownership, but about stewardship, and that their resources are meant to flow, not stagnate. Serving others with wealth creates a legacy that outlives a person's lifetime. When wealth is used to empower, educate, and uplift, it leaves a mark that continues for generations. Many of the world's greatest philanthropists and visionaries are remembered not for how much they owned, but for how much they gave. Their wealth was not measured in bank accounts, but in the lives they transformed. This is the kind of wealth that cannot be stolen, diminished, or forgotten. It is also important to recognize that wealth is not limited to money. Every person possesses some form of wealth that can be used to serve others. Some have wealth in the form of knowledge and wisdom, which can be shared to mentor and guide the next generation. Others have wealth in the form of time, which can be invested in community service and acts of kindness. Some have wealth in the form of skills and talents which can be used to build and create solutions. True wealth is not just about what we have in our hands, but about what we have in our hearts and how we use it to make the world a better place. The most successful businesses, organizations, and leaders are those that operate with the mindset of service. A business that exists solely for profit will eventually lose meaning and struggle to retain loyalty, while a business that exists to serve people will thrive and continue to grow. Leaders who use their influence to empower others gain respect and honor, while those who use it for selfish gain lose trust and credibility. The principle is clear. Wealth that serves has lasting impact, while wealth that is selfishly guarded eventually fades away. Wealth in any form is a test of character. It reveals what is truly in a person's heart. Those who understand its purpose use it to build, to give, and to create opportunities. Those who misunderstand it use it only for self-indulgence, and they often find themselves feeling unfulfilled despite their riches. The true purpose of wealth is service, and only when it is used to uplift others does it reach its highest potential. The impact of a person's life is not measured by what they accumulate, but by what they leave behind. A truly meaningful life is one that continues to inspire, empower, and transform others long after the individual is gone. This is the essence of legacy. Not in the wealth stored in bank accounts, not in the properties owned, and not in the status achieved, but in the influence left in the hearts and minds of people. Generosity is the key to a lasting legacy because what we give to others becomes a part of their story, shaping the future in ways we may never see. The individuals who are most remembered are those who gave selflessly, Their contributions, whether in the form of financial support, knowledge, kindness, or leadership, created ripples that extended far beyond their lifetime. A legacy is built not through selfish ambition, but through the willingness to uplift and serve. Those who invest in others ensure that their influence continues for generations. Their generosity becomes woven into the fabric of society, leaving a mark that time cannot erase. When people live only for themselves, their impact ends when their life does. No matter how much they accumulate, their influence disappears the moment they are no longer present. But those who pour into others, who teach, mentor, give, and serve, create something that outlives them. Their names may fade, but their impact remains alive in the lives they touched. This is why true success is not measured by what we gain, but by what we give. The world may forget the wealthiest people of an era, but it never forgets those who changed lives through generosity. Generosity has a multiplying effect. One act of kindness, one investment in someone's future can spark a chain reaction that spreads across communities and generations. A person who helps one student gain an education, who mentors one young leader, or who provides for a struggling family does more than just meet an immediate need. They set something in motion that continues far beyond their own reach. That student, that leader, that family will go on to impact others. And the cycle of generosity continues. This is how a legacy is built. Not in grand gestures alone, but in the small, consistent acts of giving that shape the world over time. Another important aspect of a generous legacy is the inheritance of values. Many people think of inheritance only in terms of money or property, but the greatest inheritance anyone can leave is a legacy of character, principles, and service. Children who grow up seeing generosity modeled by their parents are more likely to become generous themselves. Communities that embrace a culture of giving become stronger and more united. Businesses and institutions that prioritize service over profit leave behind a reputation that lasts. The values we instill in others through our actions become the foundation for future generations to build upon. A generous life is also a source of deep fulfillment. There is a joy in knowing that one's existence has made a difference, that one's resources have been used to uplift others, and that one's time on earth was not lived in vain. Many people chase happiness through material gain, but true joy is found in contribution. When a person gives, they experience a sense of purpose that nothing else can provide. This sense of purpose is what drives many of the world's greatest leaders, philanthropists, and visionaries. They understand that their wealth, influence, and abilities are not meant for self-indulgence, but for service. One of the most beautiful aspects of generosity is that it does not require great wealth to leave a great legacy. Some of the most influential people in history were not those with the most money, but those with the biggest hearts. Teachers, community leaders, mentors, and everyday individuals who gave what they had, whether it was time, wisdom, encouragement, or material resources, are often the ones who create the most meaningful impact. The size of the gift does not matter as much as the intention behind it. Even in death, a person's generosity can continue to speak. Many have established foundations, scholarships, and charitable organizations that continue their work long after they are gone. Others have invested in people who carry on their vision. A life spent giving is never wasted because its effects continue to unfold in ways that may never be fully known. True wealth is not in what we keep, but in what we pass on. Every person must decide what kind of legacy they want to leave. Will they be remembered for what they owned or for what they gave? Will their life be a story of selfish accumulation or of meaningful contribution? Those who choose generosity choose a legacy that cannot be erased. They choose to build something greater than themselves, something that will endure far beyond their years. A generous life is, without question, a wealthy life because its impact never truly ends.